As I am recording this on March 22nd, 2021, Lakers legend Elgin Baylor has just passed away at the age of 86 years old from what seemed to be natural causes. Elgin Baylor is a freaking legend, and he's not a legend who I know enough about, which is why I decided to do this video, because I believe both myself and other NBA fans don't know as much as they should about this incredible player. A player who's the Lakers' all-time leading scorer in points per game at 27.4, who is the all-time leading rebounder for the Lakers, and who also holds the record in Lakers history for the most points per game in a season with 38. Elgin Baylor was a freaking beast, so I want to give him the credit he deserves. So I'm just going to be going over Elgin Baylor in this video, and I hope you enjoy. Elgin Baylor was an 11-time All-Star and 10-time All-NBA, with all 10 of those teams being NBA first teams. For his career, he averaged 27 points a game, 13.5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 43% from the field. Now that is not an incredible field goal percentage, and let's get that out of the way right there. 43% from the field and 78% from the free throw line. However, he also played most of his career during the 60s, coming into the league as a rookie in 1959, where he won the Rookie of the Year award. In the 60s, the average field goal percentage was 41% from the field, compared to today when it's about 47%. So for Elgin Baylor at 6'5" to average over 20 points a game, nearly 30 points a game for his career, on above average field goal percentage is very, very impressive. The game was much less efficient back then, so even though I'm not going to pretend that 43% from the field is some incredible, amazing number, it is still a very impressive number when you take the era into account. Now, Elgin Baylor, I believe, has the highest unrecognized, unofficially recognized scoring average of all time for a season, with 38 points a game in 1962. I believe the reason why is that he only played 48 games this season, and the NBA doesn't recognize that for a full season unless you played at least 50 games, so he has one of the greatest scoring seasons of all time. And even at the time, it was overshadowed by Wilt Chamberlain. And Elgin Baylor being overshadowed is kind of the theme of his career. The dude was the best player on the Lakers for several years until Jerry West got drafted. And even though Elgin Baylor is an absolute monster, Jerry West was better. Therefore, Jerry West quickly became the leader of the Los Angeles Lakers, especially considering Elgin Baylor missed time due to being in the military. So Elgin Baylor was no longer the best player on his incredible team. Jerry West got more of the credit. But even when he was playing, he just wasn't winning. 7 NBA Finals appearances and 0 NBA titles. Technically got the one in 1972, but not really. He played 14 seasons in the league. I just want to go over how incredible this dude's stats were, okay? I said 27 points and 13.5 rebounds for his career. The dude played 14 seasons in the league officially, but his last 2 seasons, 1971 and 1972, he had some crazy knee issues, and only in those 2 seasons combined for 11 total games played. If you exclude those 2 seasons, his career averages go up to 29 points per game and 14 rebounds. And even in this era of stat inflation and very fast pace and high rebounds, those are incredible numbers, especially for a dude who was only 6'5" or 6'6". I didn't know this because I heard he played small forward, I just assumed he was taller. Elgin Baylor was only 6'6". He is one of the greatest rebounders of all time. This man averaged 13.5 rebounds for his career at a 6'6" player. Not to mention, like I already said, he is the all-time leading rebounder for the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not Kareem, it's not Wilt, it's not Shaq, it is Elgin Baylor. That's freaking crazy. But, like I said already, as I'm going to keep repeating myself here, he does need a little bit of context for his stats, alright? Elgin Baylor played 40 minutes a game for his career. And if you throw out his last 2 seasons, he would have played something closer to 42 minutes a game for his career. Those are absurd numbers that are only matched by Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. The dude played hella minutes, and if you adjust his minutes down to per 36, they suddenly don't look quite as impressive. Now, 25 points per game and 12 rebounds per 36 is still absolutely phenomenal, but it just goes to show that he wasn't quite as great as he was before. His highest scoring season drops all the way from 38 points per game to only 31, and that is also the only season in his career where he now scores over 30 points per game, and his rebounds go down quite a bit. His best rebounding season is now only 16.6. I say is now only, like 16.6 isn't some freaking incredible number, but 16.6 instead of 19.8. The dude played in an era of inflated stats, and it is important to take this into context when you are ranking his overall career. You gotta do the same thing with Wilt Chamberlain, with Jerry West, with all the other greats of this era. Alright? Now I give his field goal percentage part of a pass. Alright, 43% from the field. It was a very low efficiency era, but it's still not amazing. 43% from the field is still not some all-time great number. The dude wasn't insanely efficient. Now, I think part of this was his size. He was only 6'5". Again, had no idea before going to do this video. I really thought the dude was taller. But, you know, 6'5" and 43% from the field, those are solid numbers for a guard. They're nothing insane. We don't have steal or block stats for Elgin Baylor, so we don't know what he would have averaged, but he was not known as some great defensive player. He wasn't known as a great defensive liability either. His defense is just kinda, you know, he played defense. He did his thing. He wasn't known as being great or bad on that end. Partially, again, he might have been overshadowed by Jerry West, who is one of the greatest and also one of the most underrated defenders in NBA history. And that's really just this dude's career. Even when you adjust for the stats, he was amazing, but he wasn't as good as his teammates, Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain. His team was not as good as Bill Russell's Celtics. He was going to the finals almost every year and losing to the Celtics. Another crazy stat I didn't mention about Elgin Baylor, the dude holds the all-time NBA record for points scored in a finals game. He had 61 points in the NBA Finals, and he lost that series. This dude was not some guy choking in the finals. This was an all-time great performer who just couldn't get it done. He just didn't have the team around him to compete with Bill Russell. Even with the incredible teammate that is Jerry West, he didn't have enough to get it done. And then by the end of the decade, the end of the decade comes, they finally get Wilt Chamberlain, and Elgin Baylor is old. His last 2 seasons, 11 total games played, he was 36 and then 37. Elgin Baylor just had the misfortune of playing in the 60s alongside some other all-time greats. Now, I'm not suggesting that Elgin Baylor is the greatest small forward of all time, alright? He's not. He's not in my top 3. He might not even be in my top 5, although I'd have to think about it. He still may be at number 5. The dude wasn't quite there, but he is absolutely a top 50, and I would probably say top 35 player of all time, and the man just doesn't get enough respect. So if you didn't know about Elgin Baylor before, I hope you know some more about him now. One of the greatest NBA players of all time has just passed away, and I just want to say thank you to him for helping make the game what it is today. Elgin Baylor was a legend.